Good morning, guys. Jim Squares here, bringing you some more hot tips for some money hacks today. So today is one of my favorites, so definitely stay tuned. 4 ways to get to 50 million. Or another way is turn 300K into 50 million, depending on when you start. So first, but remember to like and subscribe and share with others, especially because I think this will make a world of difference for all of our youngsters. And Social Security becomes more and more unstable, and any other kind of pensions continue to disappear, this will become more and more important, I think. And I'd like to make this happen for all of my children. In fact, I'm trying to, and I'd like to even make it for my grandchildren as long as I last. So that's my plan. But first, so we'll start with simplified version. So it'll cost $3,000, and it starts right when the child is born. What you do is you make an initial investment, 3 grand, right when they're born, into a small cap value stock or ETF mutual fund. And there's a one called Spider, SLYV is my favorite. And that's, you can get that at any of the firms, Vanguard, Fidelity, Schwab, any of them, they have it. So that's a great small cap value fund. It's very much like DFA, which is another brokerage firm who specializes in small cap value. But you sit it in a UTMA while they're right when they're born, and then it starts growing every year at about 12% annually. This is historically based, so it's about right. And you just let it go, and then as they're getting older and older, and they start like getting a job at, let's say, 10 or earlier or later, depending on your child, and then you start converting that money over into a Roth. And one, they get their kitty, so they get no tax on any of the growth, and then once you put in the Roth, they get no tax as an adult. So the main thing is to get it right away as fast as you can into a Roth. So that's definitely the thing you're going to go. And then we'll keep going down the list, and you can see it's going along at 21. They have 32 grand, which is a lot of money. And if it's in a Roth, they can get the principal, so whatever's been contributed, but they can't get it at the growth without paying a penalty. And this is where it's on them now. Their future is on them, and you have to trust it, and you have to trust their future and trust that you raise them right. So they keep going, and then starting at age 66, they start taking withdrawals, and I'll say 5% withdrawals, and that will be about 270K starting at 66. And then you can see after, it continues to grow as you're taking these 200K plus withdrawals that are growing, but you could see that we're taking out the amount from last year. So the amount here keeps growing as you keep withdrawing more because the base is so large. And you go all the way down to the bottom, and you're lucky enough to get to 95, and your last withdrawal was 1.6 million, and you're left with $30 million. I know this is insane amounts of dollars, but it's pretty crazy. Bear with me. And if you look at the total withdrawals, what we do is we go up, scroll up, all these different withdrawals add up to be about $22.8 million. And the ending balance, which I picked the smallest one out of these four scenarios, is 30 million-ish, is 50 million. So that's how this plan works. The ending balance is essentially at 50 million. So now that was scenario one. All it costs is 30 grand for your child right when they're born. Now, the second strategy, if you don't have 30 grand to plop down, is $365, $1 a day every year until they're 21. And it does the same thing. And then at 21, you stop. So right here, they turn 21, you stop, and then you just let it grow. And you can see the numbers from the 33 grand at birth to here. This one's a little higher, which is fine. I suppose you could stop her a little earlier, depending on how the return is. But then you let it go down, and the balance is right near the same, 34 million versus 30 million. It's rounding at this point. So when you're talking this far out, but that would cost you, instead of 3,000, it costs you 7,300 because you're starting later and your contributions are lower. So now, what happens if we say, hey, I still want that money, I'm a little late to the game, 21. So then you need $3,600 ages 21 through 64. And that essentially equate to a total of 158,000. But you start here, and then it's age 21, and then every year, you're contributing this amount up until you start to make withdrawals. This is the year 65. You start making withdrawals the year after, and there you go. There's your withdrawals. And again, this one comes down to 34 million, almost spot on. And finally, you're like, hey, I'm 25. I just missed the boat. How much is that going to cost me? This is 5.5K, ages 25 through 64. So this is essentially the same thing. 220K is what this one will cost you. And it's amazing, like you wait 20 years and how much the difference in prices here. It's just honestly, it's shocking, compounding. And this is it has to do with that front loading video, which I'll hopefully have an including link to. And the more you front load, the earlier you start, the better off you are. And this goes with like everything in life. So it's pretty fantastic. So you go all the way up. Let's see. So here's where you're starting at 25. Scroll all the way down. You make these withdrawals at 66, 65, and again, you're down to 30 million left with 22 million dollars worth of withdrawals. So 52 million. It's pretty incredible. And if you look at the graph, it's pretty much the same. Um, but that's yeah, it's essentially the earlier you start, the easier it is, and the less it costs. So that, and again, yes, 3 grand is a lot to chunk down for someone. And what happens if they go off in the bender? Well, probably all of your kids probably won't all go on benders. So this will be money that you can establish. And if you bundle this in with my allowance approach, it'll show them the value of what it's like to how companies can truly help secure their futures. So I think we should do this for all of our children by default in America. I think this is the right thing to do. We're not there yet. I don't know if there will ever be there, but it's certainly, I think, the right way to approach. Can you imagine? You can even check your own progress on this. Let's say you're 36. How much do you need to order to be that amount? Okay, well, I need for no contributions, I would need about 170, 180K at 36K. But if I want to keep going at 36K, I would need, or 3,600, then I would need 150. If I want to make 5,500 contributions, 130. So, and then you can check yourself. So I like to do that. I like to check my kids' ages against these columns to see where they're at and check myself and then see if I can make it as close as we can, if not meeting or exceeding these amounts, because it would just be a tremendous gift that you could give to their futures and to your future generations. So that's what I got. This is one of my favorite hacks that I got going on here. One of the coolest things that we have. But I will include a link to the spreadsheet down below in the show notes, and you could definitely feel free to make a copy of it. If you also have a link to the detailed article that described this, that guy who gave me the idea, Paul Merriman, and I'm so happy that I stumbled across this stuff. And I just put the spreadsheet to it and made it more consumable so you can actually see it and talk to it. So he also has a podcast on it. So, but yeah, that's what I got. And hopefully you guys leverage this, take this in the future. Definitely share, keep growing together. If you have enhancements or other ideas, let me know. Hope you guys are doing great and have an awesome day. Later.